Welcome everyone to today's episode of Flat Tire Dan. As always, I want to thank everybody who has been viewing our episodes and commenting and has subscribed to the channel. And if you're enjoying the content, you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please do. It does help us reach more viewers. And for those of you, remind you can find us on Instagram, flat_tire_Dan. And then for those of you who have found us there and have been commenting and questioning and suggesting things for the channel, like, thank you. We really do appreciate it, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it, so please keep it coming. So for today's episode, a rare Tuesday night episode, I mentioned in our last episode that I've been getting a lot of requests to do sort of a walk-around review of the machinery, the equipment we use here on the channel, specifically the Can-Am side-by-side and the SeaDoo personal watercraft. And so I thought tonight that we would take a look at the SeaDoo. Now, before we kind of, do sort of a in-detail walk around of the machine, I thought it might be a good idea to kind of explain to you guys, what drove me to pick this specific machine, like make, model, size, that kind of stuff, before we actually get into looking at all the bells and whistles and stuff like that. So, to be perfectly honest with you, I've only owned one personal watercraft prior to this machine. I bought it used, and it was a Yamaha. And it was a great machine. Like, it performed well, it was super reliable, it was comfortable, it was everything I wanted it to be. And I guess maybe a year or so after I bought it, we bought our Can-Am Commander side-by-side, the one we had before the X3. And like immediately, I was impressed by the fit and finish and the engineering and eventually the performance of the Commander. So when I decided that I wanted to buy myself a brand new personal watercraft, I went right to SeaDoo. Now, Can-Am, SeaDoo, and Ski-Doo snowmobiles are all owned by one company called BRP out of Canada. And so I was so impressed with the Commander that I went right to SeaDoo. And to be honest with you, I didn't even look at the Yamahas or the Kawasaki's. And like I said, I had great experience with the Yamaha. I have in-laws that are still kicking themselves for not buying that Yamaha from me, before I traded it in. So that's what drove me to pick the SeaDoo. Now, as far as the model within SeaDoo that I decided to pick, I chose the GTX, which is what they refer to as their touring model. All right. So like I mentioned in the last episode where Brian and I were down in the Chesapeake, most of the riding that I do is on larger open bodies of water. And the GTX is designed, it's larger, it's heavier, it's got sort of a hull designed to handle bigger water. And so that was kind of the first reason I went to the GTX line. And then the second thing was just that they offered all the available technology, bells and whistles within the GTX line. And there were some certain things that I really wanted on a brand new machine. And so the GTX line just made sense for me. And then there are 3 models within the GTX, and the numbers indicate the horsepower of the machine. So there's the 170, which is the one I have, the 230, and the 300. Now, all 3 machines have the same exact powertrain, same engine displacement, same jet drive, but they use a power adder, a supercharger, to increase the horsepower on the 230 model and the 300 model. The 170 is what they refer to as naturally aspirated, so no power adder, no superchargers. Now, the research I did told me that the 170 would go close to 60 miles an hour. And for those of you who don't know or do know about like being on the water and boats and stuff like that, like 60 miles an hour feels like 90 miles an hour. Like, it's really fast on the water. So I was pretty sure that would be fast enough for me. And everything I saw said that it got there really quick too. So I was pretty sure that the 170 naturally aspirated model would be plenty of engine for me. There was a couple reasons I wasn't really interested in a supercharger or a turbocharger, and I have nothing against them. Like, I have a turbocharger on the X3. I've got 2 of them on my truck. But for the watercraft, I really wasn't too interested in them. One is kind of long-term maintenance and costs of that and kind of stuff. If I can get a machine that would go fast enough for me and I didn't need to get into that, then that was obviously, the way to go for me. And then the second thing and the biggest reason was fuel consumption. When you get into the boost, when you get into using those superchargers and turbochargers on the water, they consume a lot of fuel. And fuel isn't always the easiest thing to find when you're out on the water. I remember with the Yamaha, now the Yamaha was naturally aspirated as well, but it had a much smaller fuel tank. And I remember a few different times towards the end of the day, after being out 5, 6, 7 hours, I would start looking at my fuel gauge and wondering where the nearest fuel was. And it just was an uncomfortable feeling that I did not want to have with my new machine. So I decided to stay away from the supercharged versions. But I have buddies who have them and they love them. So anyway, the 170 was the model that I chose. And so far it's been great. You've seen that it'll, I think you've seen on the channel 57 miles an hour. I've seen 58 miles an hour, and that's plenty fast for me. And it gets there real quick. So I've been real happy with it. And obviously you guys have seen that on the channel. So why don't we take a closer look at it? So here she is. to be honest with you, one of the first things that drew me to this machine was just how it looked. Like, I think it looks cool, right? Like, I love the colors. I love the design. It looks fast. I like the accent color of the seat. It looks comfortable. Like, everything about it, the looks first and foremost attracted me to this machine, you know, the GTX line. But I've talked a few times about how this machine is designed to handle open water, like larger, choppier water. Again, most of the riding I do is on bigger bodies of water, whether it be the Chesapeake Bay or the down the shore in the ocean or out on Lake Erie. And so I really wanted a machine that was designed to kind of handle those conditions. And if you get down here, you can see the V-shaped hull, right? It's kind of like a boat, right? Where it's designed to handle those waves and that chop and be a more comfortable, more capable ride in those conditions. So that was a big thing for me when I was shopping for a new ski. And I just kind of walk around the side. It's got some cool accent colors. I got my little Flat Tire Dan logo here. We'll talk about it in a minute. And then we get around the side here. Now, one of the must-haves for me when I was buying a new jet ski was an integrated sound system. And, you know, obviously it needs to be loud. I mean, 50 plus miles an hour, it needs to be loud, and it's plenty loud. But what I was really surprised with was the sound quality. And it's a Bluetooth system. It ties into my phone, and the sound quality is remarkable at those speeds. I was really impressed by that. All the controls are right here, so you can reach all the controls for, you know, in the seated position. And so you're not like reaching up or in an uncomfortable spot trying to get the music the way that you want it. And then bring my little ladder over here and show you kind of the dash display and all the controls on the handlebar. So there's the 7-inch display system. Now it's a speedometer and RPMs, and it's got your trim controls over there, which I'll show you as far as, you know, the nose of the machine. It's got a fuel gauge, which I like, which shows you miles to empty, which I think is an important thing to have on the water. And then you have your handlebar controls here and on the other side, and they control a variety of things. I mean, this machine has trim, which will allow you to raise or lower the nose of the machine in such a way, you know, for whatever conditions you're riding. In bigger water, you bring the nose out, it's a little more comfortable, you stay a little drier. Flatter water and you want to do a little more maneuvering or carving, then you lower the nose of the machine down into the water. That's pretty helpful. It's got different modes. It's got eco, touring, and sport mode, which is all controlled here. To be honest with you, I always drive it in sport mode, so I'm not really sure what the other two do. It's got cruise control at low speeds for like no wake zone. So if you're going through a long no wake zone, you can set the speedometer between 5 and 9 miles an hour and then kind of let off the throttle and just kind of cruise along, which is a nice option to have. Speaking of throttle, you've got reverse here, you've got forward over there. This machine also has neutral, which is nice, so you can kind of sit still with the motor running. And then reverse is reverse, obviously, but also acts as an engine, as a brake. So if you're cruising along at whatever speed you're cruising along and you lay on that reverse lever, it acts as a brake for the machine that works really well. I mean, you get soaking wet, but it stops the machine pretty quickly. You know, that's been the biggest thing with boats forever. Like, you can go fast, you just can't stop. It's got a smaller storage area here for like your phone and chapstick or whatever else you want to put in there. And then the big thing on these machines is this large storage area, which everybody loves, and I do as well. It's cavernous. I mean, I've never run out of storage. I bring coolers and I bring paddleboard games and obviously towels and all kinds of stuff in there, and I've got my tow ropes and I've got this little organizer in it. Like, the storage in this thing is remarkable. You know, my Yamaha, I was always searching for some place to, you know, to keep whatever it is I thought I might need throughout the course of the day, but this thing's just got a ton of storage in it. You can see I mounted my little GoPro mount there, which is nice. We'll step back here a little bit. So probably my favorite thing about this machine is this seat. It's a 3-person seat. Now, to be honest with you, I've never had 3 people on it. I probably won't. But with me or me and a passenger, it's like sitting on the sofa. Like, it is super comfortable, and it's bolstered. It kind of keeps you in place. I can tell you, when I was out on the Yamaha in bigger, choppier water, I would be standing up most of the ride just to save my spine, right? And on this machine, like, I only stand up when I want to stretch my legs. Like, it's that comfortable. Some other engineering stuff. It's got these bumpers that you can buy with these brackets that are mounted to the side of the machine, so they clip on, so they stay in place, and they're good for docking and stuff. Oh, the sound system, right? You want to sit on the beach and you want to listen to the music for a while, but you're worried about running your battery dead. This machine won't let you do that. When the battery gets down to a certain level, it automatically shuts off the sound system till you start the machine again. Again, like brilliant engineering, you know, smart thinking from SeaDoo. You walk around the back here. It's got this huge swim platform. Maybe get a good look at it from the side here. Big swim platform on the back, which is nice when you're hanging out at the beach. You got somewhere to sit and kind of have lunch. My nieces and nephews are constantly using it for a diving board. You can actually take off the back portion of the seat to make the swim platform even bigger. It's got some cool stuff here on the swim platform. It's got a spot where you can put like a pole for towing skiers or wakeboarders. It's got this link system things. They clip up and down, right? And you can use them to mount accessories from SeaDoo, whether it be a cooler or a storage box or whatever. And you don't have to worry about tying things down. They clip right in, they lock right in, they're secure no matter what the conditions you're in. It's got a big sort of comfy ergonomic kind of step on it, which is nice. It's comfortable on the feet. Tie downs on the back for the trailer. There's the reverse bucket. But it's just, it's funny when people do these reviews, they usually talk about what they like and what they don't like. And I can tell you that there's really nothing about this machine that I don't like. Like, okay, it could be faster, right? But then I'm giving up fuel economy, and it goes plenty fast for me, and I prefer the fuel economy. It could handle better, sure, but then it would be a smaller machine that isn't as well equipped for bigger water for me. So there's things that it could do better, but for me, I really do enjoy everything about it, and it works really well for the way that I ride and the conditions that I ride in. And again, I'll point out our new little decals and logos that I put on Instagram the other day because I want to talk about those a little bit more. So there she is, my SeaDoo GTX 170. I forgot to mention it's a 2022 model, but as far as I know, they didn't change a thing in 2023, which I guess says something. It's a great machine. I love it. Obviously, I'm going on and on, but I really do like it. I drive it maybe 50, 60 hours a year, so I put some hours on it, and I get it serviced once a year. I give it to my dealer, and they winterize it, and they service it, and it is done. I bought an extended warranty with it. Couldn't be happier. So hopefully this will help you if you're in the market for a machine. I showed you on the SeaDoo. I posted it on Instagram a little while back. With the help of my awesomely cool brother-in-law, Chris, and my super talented, well-educated artist daughter, Kelsey, we created a logo for the channel. I keep these little stickers with me. I forget I have them, so if you see me and you want one, just ask me for one and I'll give you one. But we created a logo for the channel so I could get some decals and stuff made up for my machines, and I posted it on Instagram, and I started getting a lot of feedback, and it's YouTube, so I get it. People looking for merch. They want t-shirts and they want sweatshirts and that kind of stuff, and I really hadn't given it a lot of thought. Again, with the help of my design team, and Kelsey's working on it right now, we're going to create some artwork to go, because I just don't want to create stuff with just a logo on it, but I am going to create some merchandise. Kelsey's working on some artwork. I think it's pretty cool to kind of go along with it. I think the colors of the channel are going to be gray and orange. Just happened to be that way. The SeaDoo's gray and orange. The X3 is gray and orange. My truck is gray. So it's going to be like gray shirts, orange lettering, orange shirts, gray lettering, I think is the way I'm going to go. I mean, we're still a ways off from there, but we've heard you, and I'm going to work on it. Like I said, I hadn't given it much thought, and then people started asking about it, and so why not? So we're working on it. We're going to get that stuff together soon, and hopefully I'll have something to show you guys maybe within a week or so. I keep saying it, like, how can I not be having fun doing this, right? It's great. I'm having such a good time. But it's so much more fun, like, knowing you guys are watching and the feedback I'm getting on Instagram and stuff like that. So please keep it coming. Like, I am really grateful that you guys are watching and that we're able to interact the way we have been. And as always, stay tuned for more content from Flat Tire Dan. I'll see you.